Hello everyone, let's dive back into another In Defense of Fitness. And if you haven't been here before, this is where I go through videos that either criticize or talk incorrectly about CrossFit and try to unpack what they're saying and why they're saying it and kind of where they're coming from. Today's video is going to be a video from from my good friend, from a person I know named Ryan Fischer. Now, Ryan Fischer was a CrossFitter a while back, not particularly successful in the competitive realm. Not saying that to be mean, but he just never excelled at the top level. But he does have some very unique genetics to where he looks extremely ripped. Now, he went off and he owns CrossFit Chalk. I don't know if it's still called CrossFit Chalk anymore. From what I hear, there's actually some greatness to that gym. There's a lot of great people who train there. But at the same time, he went off and he started the Chalk program where he basically sells programming and he plays a bit of the hype game. So a lot of his stuff is centered around looking good rather than, performing particularly well. There's a lot of vanity associated with it. And again, this is my perspective. But one thing I do appreciate about him is he's always been pretty honest with his desire for being extremely wealthy and for being quite vain. There's never been like a bait and switch of like, I'm trying to make you be a better person or anything like that. It's always been like very straightforward with its shallowness. And I don't say that to throw shade. I appreciate honesty. Anyway, that's my perspective on Ryan. He's got some interesting past. I've never had any personal interactions with Ryan. I've only seen him kind of tangentially through competitions and things like that. And I know some of the crew that he hung with pretty well. Anyway, let's move on and jump into the video. The video is titled Why CrossFit Athletes Look the Way They Do. And again, this is speaking to that vanity I was talking about before. So let's bring this video in, and let's hit play on this video and see what happens.
It's very rare that you see someone who starts at CrossFit as like a smaller person and then puts on a shit ton of muscle.
Okay, the very first thing he said, it's very rare that you see someone who starts in CrossFit as a smaller person and puts on a shit ton of muscle. That is, I don't know how to say how incorrect that is. I've seen many people put on a ton of muscle, and it's a ton relative to the individual that they are always. Anything that we do in fitness is always going to be relative to our own ability. Our own genetics. He himself is a relatively small person, but has a ton of muscle. And there is truth to what he's saying in the sense that a lot of the times your muscle gains that you get are centered around the genetics that you have. Now, there are things that we can do to strain those genetics and push them to their furthest capacity. In the case of building muscle, it would require overeating, so eating more calories than you can support, so gaining mass and size and weight, and then converting that into muscle through excessively heavy loading relative to your system and packing on pounds that way. Now, one thing he might be alluding to is that in CrossFit, we don't tend to try to look larger. We tend to try to be functional. We want to have capacity. We want to be able to move our bodies to the best of its ability. So whatever muscle that we put on will be based off of achieving and accomplishing goals. I can speak personally to the fact that I've only ever done CrossFit. I've never done classic strength cycles or bodybuilding or anything along those lines. I went from 155 to about 180. And put on straight muscle through that period of time. So I put on, that's 30 pounds of muscle just doing CrossFit. So I know I'm not a sample size of anything bigger than one, but that's something to note going into this, is that statement straight out the gate is not true, but there is truth to it.
Throughout that time, they're usually people who were bigger in other sports and then wind up losing a lot of body fat. Because when you're doing a bunch of random exercise that doesn't really have any sort of structure to it, you're getting very, very fit.
So the hard part is, like, he did CrossFit for a long time and he just referenced CrossFit as random exercises. It's not random. There's nothing about it that's random. Now, when it comes to specifically targeting bodybuilding style gains where we do very linear progressions, very focused on a single muscle, it might look random from the outset, but that's just not our goal. The goal is to achieve variance. So if you're programming CrossFit well, and this is hard for me because he's a programmer and runs gyms and is educated to some degree. It's not random. It's never been random. If you saw it as random or did random stuff, then you misunderstood fundamentally what CrossFit was. It never was random. It never has been random. It's bizarre. I mean, he's been in the community a long time and he references it that way. And I think maybe it's marketing tactics, but I don't know.
And you're getting that aerobic capacity, but you're not really getting the full muscle stimulus to build a lot of muscle.
So there's a number of things wrong with this. So he's talking about you get really fit by doing random stuff. You don't get really fit by doing random stuff. You get really fit by continually exposing yourself to multiple different areas of fitness and in pushing your capacity in all of them. Part of that is strength. Part of that is aerobic capacity, like you just said there. But there's also anaerobic capacity, which is the ability to do work without the absence of in the absence of oxygen. There is long and short and heavy and light and high rep and low rep, and there's everything in between. So to say that it's just you get aerobic capacity is like, it's wild. I mean, you would talk to true aerobic people and they would say we don't even truly do aerobic stuff. Not often compared to our anaerobic work that we do. So this is just, it's wrong on many fronts. He's speaking with a lot of confidence, which gives him, in this demographic, credibility, but this is just misinformation. It's a bummer.
But you are able to maintain the muscle you have because of this stuff here. It takes so little to maintain. So like if you're doing like 10 rep back squat today, like I spent 10 years doing CrossFit. I was like one of the best athletes for a long time.
You were not one of the best athletes. I hate to tell you, man, but you were like, I don't know even how to say this without being just extremely mean. You were not considered as a challenge by the real athletes. You had a good physique because of your genetics, and you also train a lot and really hard, and you've built a great hype machine and you've made a lot of money, but this is silly. I don't know why I'm going there. Anyway, I don't know what these numbers are on his side here, but what he's saying is that when you train, you actually maintain muscle really easily using CrossFit, because you do. Like, you can maintain muscle doing anything. Once muscle's built, it's one of those things that it's hard to get rid of it as long as you're doing some sort of activity. I've been, relatively inactive relative to my competitive years for like nearly 15 years, and I have almost all the muscle. I mean, you can see here, look at this before and after. There's a 12-year before and after. And one of these videos, and that photo, I'm really like fit. And the other photo is a couple months ago, and I'm not really fit. So my muscle stayed relatively the same, but its capacity has changed. I'm not as strong, but I'm still stronger than most because of the capacity I built earlier. But he's referencing the maintaining of muscle because it is easy to maintain muscle just by doing anything. But that's not why we do CrossFit. That's not a part of CrossFit. This is silly. Let me see what he says.
I get it. But at the same time, I can't even tell you guys how many times during my career I'd look in the mirror and be like, why do I not look good now?
So he's always looked the same. Like, you can look at his career and he says, why do I not look good now? Like, it's not about looks. Like, that, first of all, your mentality sucks. But he's always looked the same. And what he's speaking to is his own body dysmorphia, his own psychology around that. This is why you don't pursue aesthetics as the main goal, because you end up hung up like this on dumb shit, and you end up having a weird capacity for anything. Like, this is, yeah. Diet is, if you want to look good, diet is the thing that you do. You can build and maintain and shape your muscle, but the sooner you get out of that mentality, the better off you are as a human being. If you're still wrapped up and I need to look a certain way, I need to do these kinds of things, you are going to fail eventually in your success as a human being.
My diet's been the same. Like, everything's been the same. It's very rare.
Yeah, I don't know what his whole rest of that is, but he plays a hype game. I don't even want to read the comments. When it comes to physique, a lot of it has to do with well, a vast majority of it, of your own physique, reaching the best version of it yourself, has to do with the nutrition that you have. And that is more about health even than it is the nutrition piece. I mean, than it is the physique piece. So we tend to, in CrossFit, form follows function, but function doesn't follow form all the time. So you can look really good, but be highly incapable. So you can diet and you can do isolation exercises, but fail to have the capacity to do basic stuff. And this is the kind of founding principle of a lot of what CrossFit originally came out to combat. We tend to see that form does follow function, though. So when you become more capable, when you become more functional, when you can say yes to more things in life, you tend to start to look better. And the reason for that is you're being active in ways that support maintaining good nutrition patterns. You're also finding yourself around people who are simultaneously making better decisions and consistency around their fitness, but also around their diet and nutrition. So there's a lot here, and this is just another silly video that doesn't understand / is playing a hype game, and I don't really know what. I guess his point is to sell more stuff. Is what it is there. I don't even know who this dude is that he has in this side here. You got Noah Olsen on one side, but I don't know who this guy is next to him. It looks like just a bodybuilder. Weird. Oh well, that's all I got for today. As always out there, stay virtuous, and hope that gave you some more information on this episode of In Defense of Fitness.